4 billion years ago, our planet wasn't the serene blue marble we know today. It was a hellscape of biblical proportions, where oceans of molten rock churned beneath a poisonous copper-colored sky. Lightning storms of unimaginable power ripped through the toxic atmosphere, their bolts 1,000 times more powerful than anything we see today. Each flash illuminated a landscape that would make modern volcanoes look like birthday candles. But in this crucible of creation, something extraordinary was happening. The very forces that made Earth seemingly uninhabitable were orchestrating the greatest show in the universe, the birth of life itself. Deep in the primordial oceans, where superheated water burst from cracks in the planet's crust, the first monsters were stirring. Beneath the ancient waves, where sunlight barely penetrates the primordial depths, the true lords of Earth's prehistoric oceans held court in a realm of perpetual twilight. These weren't just big fish. They were the architects of terror, the first super predators that would make today's great white sharks look like goldfish at a county fair. Let's dive into the story of Untitled, the abnormal shrimp that was anything but shrimpy. Picture a creature that looked like it was designed by a committee of nightmare artists. Compound eyes mounted on stalks like alien surveillance cameras, each containing thousands of lenses that could track prey in the murky waters. Its mouth was a terrifying piece of biological engineering, a circular arrangement of sharp plates that worked like a living garbage disposal capable of crushing the hardest shells of its time. But what made Untitled truly spectacular were its frontal appendages, massive segmented limbs lined with spikes that could snatch prey with the precision of surgical instruments. These weren't just hunting tools, they were the prototype for every predatory adaptation that would follow. When this creature swam through the ancient seas, it moved with the grace of a fighter jet, its flat body undulating like a living ribbon through the water. As we descend deeper into these ancient oceans, we encounter Dunkleosteus, a creature so formidable it redefined the meaning of apex predator. This armored titan didn't just bite its prey, it shattered them. Its head was encased in bony plates that made medieval knights' armor look like tissue paper. But the real horror show was its mouth. Instead of teeth, it had sharp bony blades that could slice through anything unfortunate enough to cross its path. The power of Dunkleosteus's bite was astronomical. Its jaws could snap shut with the force of an industrial hydraulic press, creating a pressure point that could turn bones into powder. Scientists estimate it could exert a bite force of over 8,000 pounds per square inch, enough to cut through modern steel. When this creature opened its mouth, the action was so explosive that it created a vacuum effect, literally sucking prey into its death trap. Swimming alongside these terrors were creatures that defied imagination. Imagine a scorpion the size of a cruise ship. That was Jaekelopterus, the largest arthropod ever to exist. Its claws could snatch prey from a distance that would give modern crocodiles performance anxiety. These weren't just big bugs. They were perfectly engineered killing machines that ruled their domain with ruthless efficiency. The seas teemed with giants that made modern marine life look like a kiddie pool collection. There was Helicoprion, a shark-like creature with a spiral of teeth that worked like a buzzsaw made of nightmares. Each tooth was serrated and designed to not just cut, but to grab and pull prey apart with mechanical precision. When it opened its mouth, the spiral would unroll like a living Swiss Army knife, ready to process anything in its path. But perhaps most terrifying of all was the environment itself. These ancient oceans were nothing like our modern seas. The water chemistry was alien, with higher mineral content and different oxygen levels that allowed these monsters to grow to impossible sizes. The pressure gradients created by these conditions meant that some creatures could move through the water with the speed of torpedoes. while others could crush prey with the force of industrial compactors. Imagine swimming in these waters, where every shadow could hide a predator larger than a bus, where the very act of moving created pressure waves that could be sensed by creatures with sensory systems more sophisticated than modern military sonar. The food chain wasn't just a biological concept, it was a daily apocalypse, where survival meant outmaneuvering beings that had evolved over millions of years to become perfect killing machines. These creatures didn't just hunt. They revolutionized predation. Every successful hunting strategy used by modern animals was first developed in these ancient seas. The high-speed chase, perfected by creatures that could move faster than modern tuna. Ambush predation, mastered by beings that could hide their massive bodies in plain sight. Even the concept of territorial defense was established by these ancient mariners, who carved out hunting grounds larger than modern cities. The evidence of their existence lies not just in fossils, but in the very DNA of modern marine life. Every successful hunting strategy, every defensive adaptation, every survival mechanism we see in today's oceans was first tested in this prehistoric laboratory of evolution. These weren't just monsters, they were the pioneers of predation, the first experiments in what would become the endless arms race of survival. Picture yourself walking through a carboniferous forest, where the ground trembles beneath your feet, not from earthquakes, but from the movement of Arthropleura, a creature that defies our modern understanding of what an arthropod could be. This wasn't just a centipede, it was a living train, stretching up to 5 feet in length, its segmented body armored like a biological tank. Each of its numerous legs moved with precision engineering that would make modern robotics engineers weep with envy. The Arthropleura's body was a masterpiece of evolutionary design. Its exoskeleton wasn't just for protection, it was a sophisticated support system that allowed this giant to move with surprising grace despite its enormous size. Every segment of its body was a marvel of biological architecture, working in perfect harmony to propel this creature through the ancient undergrowth. When it moved, it didn't just crawl, it flowed across the landscape like a living river of chitin and muscle. But the real kings of this prehistoric world ruled the skies. Meganeura, often called the giant dragonfly, soared through the oxygen-rich atmosphere with wings spanning more than 2 feet. These weren't just big insects, they were aerial predators that would make modern birds of prey look amateur by comparison. Their compound eyes, each containing thousands of individual lenses, could track prey with accuracy that modern military targeting systems still struggle to match. The flight capabilities of Meganeura were nothing short of miraculous. Their wings were engineering masterpieces, with structural reinforcement that allowed them to maneuver with incredible precision despite their massive size. They could hover like military helicopters, strike like fighter jets, and navigate through dense forest canopies with the agility of modern hummingbirds, all while being the size of a small child. These skies were an evolutionary arms race in action. The high oxygen content of the atmosphere, up to 35% compared to today's 21%, didn't just allow these insects to grow large, it supercharged their metabolism. Meganeura didn't just fly, they were living fusion reactors, burning oxygen at rates that would incinerate modern insects. Their respiratory system was so efficient that they could stay airborne for hours, hunting with relentless precision. But the true terror of the carboniferous skies wasn't just the size of its inhabitants, it was their hunting prowess. Meganeura had jaws that could crush through the armored exoskeletons of other insects with ease. They were equipped with spines on their legs that could snatch prey out of the air, a hunting strategy so successful that modern dragonflies still use a modified version today. Step into the shadows of an ancient dawn, where the first true land predators emerged from the mists of time. creatures that would write the original blueprints for every terrestrial hunter that followed. Before the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex, before the swift Velociraptor, there ruled a dynasty of beings so remarkable that they would forever change the face of our planet: the early reptiles and their extraordinary cousins. Let's begin our journey with Dimetrodon, a creature that seems to have been designed by nature in a moment of artistic inspiration. Picture a predator that carried a biological solar panel on its back, a magnificent sail of skin stretched between elongated vertebral spines, rising from its body like the blade of an ancient sword. But this wasn't just for show. This sail was one of nature's first experiments in temperature regulation, a biological innovation that would influence vertebrate evolution for millions of years to come. The sail of Dimetrodon wasn't just a passive structure. It was a living radiator, lined with blood vessels that could either absorb heat from the morning sun or release excess heat into the cooling evening air. This remarkable adaptation allowed Dimetrodon to be active when other creatures were still sluggish from the cold, making it the ultimate early bird predator. When it moved through the landscape, it didn't just walk. It prowled with a confidence that came from being the most sophisticated hunter of its time. But the true terror of this ancient world was the Gorgonopsídeos, creatures so fearsome that paleontologists sometimes call them the saber-toothed cats of the Permian period. These weren't just big reptiles, they were the first true apex predators on land, combining the agility of a big cat with the raw power of something far more primitive and terrifying. Their skulls were engineering masterpieces, designed to house some of the first specialized killing teeth in terrestrial vertebrate history. Imagine a predator with the head of a wolf, the posture of a big cat, and teeth that would make a saber-toothed tiger think twice. The Gorgonopsídeos had canine teeth so long they almost reached their chin when their mouths were closed. These weren't just teeth, they were biological daggers designed to pierce and hold on to prey with devastating efficiency. When these creatures hunted, they didn't just chase, they pursued with a combination of speed and power that would make modern predators look positively amateur. The hunting strategies of these ancient predators were revolutionary. They developed the first truly efficient galloping gait among large terrestrial vertebrates, allowing them to pursue prey with a stamina and speed that had never been seen before. Their world was a crucible where the fundamental rules of terrestrial predation were forged. Every successful strategy, every efficient killing technique, every sensory adaptation was tested and refined in the harsh laboratory of survival. These weren't just prehistoric monsters. They were the architects of predation, the pioneers who wrote the rulebook that would guide the evolution of every terrestrial hunter that followed.